to the Chalkboard, a podcast hosted by the Gogebic-Ontonagon Intermediate School District. This monthly podcast shares how the GOISD works to inspire students to achieve every day and how we work to support our local school districts. I'm Alan Topo, your host and superintendent of the GOISD. Today's episode features the work of our school mental health services staff and their role in supporting students to be their best. I'm pleased to welcome Jamie Fiorucci and Keela Phillips, who are social workers with the GOISD. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you please give a brief introduction of yourselves, what you do, and where you work?
I'm Jamie Fiorucci, and I'm a school social worker with the GOISD. I've been with the GOISD for the last 7 years. What I do is I am a school social worker, and I am assigned to the Wakefield Marinesco School, where I support students that are pre-K all the way to 12th grade.
And I'm Keela Phillips, and I'm a school social worker as well. And this is my third school year, and I'm primarily in the Uinta Creek Area School District. And I serve kindergartners through 12th grade.
So we've been hearing a lot in the news over the last several years about student mental health and how important it is. It's a topic that many teachers, schools, administrators, and government officials have been raising in Michigan. So could you please explain what mental health resources are being provided to our students in schools?
Some of the primary supports and resources that are being provided in schools is the state has put forth a lot of funding to support not only students that have special education services, but also all students. So there is funding for grades K through 12, and this funding has allowed for mental health professionals to be available in the school districts. And currently in the GOISD, we have 8 social workers that are spread out between the 2 counties in the GOISD.
And the mental health resources that are being provided to our students in each district vary based on the needs of the students. We can go for anywhere from individualized mental health treatment and care and coordinating care with outside agencies or providers or families. We support all students in the classrooms with any sort of behavior management or interventions that would better support their learning environment.
Members of the public hear the term school social worker. What is a school social worker, and where does their funding come from?
Sure. Yes. School social worker is primarily exactly as it says. It's a social worker that is in the school district. Previously to when I started working for the GOISD, there was one school social worker assigned for the entire GOISD. She spent time traveling in all the districts doing testing and evaluation. And this was specific to looking at eligibility for students and whether or not they met the criteria for having an individualized plan of service or support in the school. And the school social worker, you do have to have a certification from the state, and it includes 3 classes, about 9 credits that you take in order to have that certification in school social work. And the funding comes through the state and is part of the funding that goes into the special education resources.
So the 2 of you are actually school social workers, but you fall under a different program. It's called Caring for Students or C4S. And can you explain this funding stream?
Sure. Well, currently how the GOISD has set us up is they call it braided funding. So we are also school social workers, and we are also funded for the C4S program. So we are kind of wearing two hats, two separate programs. However, we piloted it last year, and it seemed to go really well because we were able to assign a social worker to each school. And we are all, some of the social workers are currently working on their certifications in school social work, but they're learning how to incorporate that into their roles. But the C4S funding is coming through the state, and there was, probably, I don't know exactly what year it was, 2018, that the funding really started to come through, and the state of Michigan recognized that more mental health support was needed in the schools, and also to service all students, not just the allocation to be in special education, but also in the general education for all students.
All right. There is a difference between C4S social workers and the traditional school social worker. And we talked about the role that you both play in supporting students and their mental health. And we're going to move on to some of the barriers and successes that you've both experienced as you work to support students in our local district. So I'm going to first focus on some of the mental health barriers that you've observed within our GOISD school districts.
Yeah, I would say some of the barriers that I've seen in the districts that I've served have been like just students having the access to mental health support. Because this is such a new thing that we have 8 social workers in our district. Not all students or not all teachers or, staff in the schools and families are aware that we're here. So it's like a building that relationship and building that trust for students that are struggling to come forward, and, get help that they need.
Mm-hmm. And I would say another barrier is that, we start to create programs, working with the teachers, getting involved with the students. But sometimes as, students are accessing the services, sometimes it feels that one person is not enough to meet all the needs of the school and the students.
Mm-hmm. On the other side of the coin, you've had some successes as well. Mm-hmm. And what strengths or successes have you experienced in our schools?
There's a lot of successes that we've had. I think just having the funding and the support from the state has been a huge success and strength that we're able to offer our districts, just being in the school. So I'm in Ewan Short Creek 5 days a week. All the kids know who I am. I know who all the kids are. So it just feels like the relationship between a social worker in the school isn't such a negative connotation as like a social worker would be typically stigmatized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see a lot of the successes with we're integrating zones of regulation, which is a emotion regulation process, and it is based on colors and feelings and emotions. And as part of that, we're able to go into the classroom and do a lot of social emotional lessons and partner with the teachers and see what their needs are. And also, the individual services for the students if they do need, short-term mental health support, because services are difficult to obtain in the community. It provides access for students to have that in the school.
And our final question for you today really relates to you wanting to share anything else out about your role in working with students at school, and maybe perhaps how parents or family members can learn more.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, I've been a social worker for close to 10 years now, and I have a lot of background experience working with many different populations in many different settings. So, I've worked in nursing homes, with veterans, with in child welfare, in community mental health, outpatient and inpatient mental health services as well. So it's just like integrating that whole background piece and like bringing it to our students and our families in the school. And that's my favorite part about working in the school is I get to use those tools from everywhere where I've been.
Yes. And for myself, I had been working for community mental health for over 17 years. And in community mental health, it is for the more moderate to severe needs. And I felt as a social worker that I was kind of getting to the person at a late stage where I wanted to be in the earlier stage of prevention. And here is a fantastic opportunity, especially getting in there with the pre-K students to be able to start working on our feelings and how to work through, strong emotions and having words for how they feel, what they feel. So, just starting early and being able to make those connections with students, but also with parents as well, because even in the parking lot, I'll have parents come up to me and ask me questions and, what should I do in this situation, or what recommendations do you have? So it's really, building a community within the school and getting to know the students and the families and the teachers. And, so that has been just one of the best parts of the job as well.
Well, I wouldn't be doing either of you justice if I didn't mention the fact that I've had the opportunity to visit both of your spaces in the schools that you serve. And I can tell that you love what you do, and that the students really respond well to you. You've got great welcoming spaces. And I know that you work hard to make every student feel that they're valued. So thank you for the work that you're doing in our schools and on behalf of students. Well, that's all we have for today's episode. You've been listening to school social workers and C4S providers, Jamie Fiorucci and Keela Phillips, talk about mental health services that are available to students in our schools throughout the GOISD. Our December episode will feature the work of our literacy consultants. If you have any questions about today's episode, please feel free to contact me at atulppo@goisd.org. Thank you for listening and have a great day.